Okay, we are live, and the light is a little bit harsh, I would say. Let me sort that out. I think that's better. Okay, yeah, you'll own nothing, and you will love owning nothing. You will love that. You will just feel it's so much better, so much better. Um, it's so complicated to own stuff. It's so complicated. So we should all stop being owners. We shouldn't own anything. That's where this is heading. Now, um, that was ironic. I hope you understood that. Understand that. It's um, yeah. Okay. Let me get to the point here. Um, the present Norwegian government, it's a conservative government. They presented their budget for next year. Now they lost the elections, so that budget will be changed. It will be changed because the new government, the socialist government, will want to use their. They will want to do things their own way. But it's interesting to see how the present government. I think it's their last day. I think they presented this on their last day. Um, and it is interesting because it tells us something about it's a signal, it tells us something about the future. Ownership is going to be taxed a lot. It's going to be it's going to become extremely expensive to own a house, a cabin, a car, things like that. That's the trend I'm seeing. That's the direction this is going. And that's a big problem. It's a huge problem. And I will explain why that's such a problem and why it will be extremely destructive and damaging to our civilization. So, but first, let's take a look at the chat. Are the trolls here? I hope the trolls are here. They're always fun. Do we have any members here? A new member. Um, Bertram, thank you for becoming a member to this channel. That's wonderful. The members will have access to exclusive live streams. Yeah, thank you for that. And the chat is moving quite, rapidly, which is great, but I want to pause. I can pause it when I see a very interesting comment. Um, I I can pause it a little bit, but then it gets a little bit more complicated to keep up with all the other comments. But what you can do is, if you really want me to see your comment, you can give me a super chat, because those comments will pop up so that I can see it. Now. Um, Harlequin Gentleman Bastard, nice name there, is saying something that is extremely well said. I will read it. The system of private property is the most important guarantee of freedom, not only for those who own property, but scarcely less for those who do not. Now, ownership. Okay, I'll have to become a little bit personal here. I'll just go down to, okay, now I'm up to date somehow on the chat. Okay, so depending on who you talk with about this, you you will get different answers, right? Ownership and the desire to build up wealth is seen by some as a sign of greed, and it's seen as a negative thing. Others who understand what how the world works, they will say it is a good thing. Now, I have spent my entire adult life saving up money, wealth, building up wealth. And especially after I became a father, I understood that it will be extremely important that I leave something for my children: wealth, property. Why? Well, it should be obvious, but to some people, that's not obvious. Some people will even say it's unfair. Well, guess what? The world is unfair. Nature is not fair. And I think that if you believe that building up wealth is a sign of greed, you do not understand anything. I think it's actually you who is the greedy one, because I don't spend my money. I put my money into investments, and I do that so that I will get more money out of what I had in the first place. Those money are not for me, it's for my children. Okay. um, this is important because if you understand this, and it should be, it should be simple enough to understand, but if you understand this, you can do it. Everyone can do this. um, and some will say that, well, you can't do that if you're poor. Rubbish. That's nonsense. You can. Well, yes, in some parts of the world, sorry, it will be almost impossible. But if you live in North America and Western Europe, almost everyone, even people who consider themselves poor, is able to do something about their situation so that they can get started saving up, investing, and so on and so on. So it's important to get that, to grasp that concept. Okay. Now, when I look at how they are raising taxes now in Norway, or rather, the government's proposed budget, as I said, they will not be. That budget will be changed because we will have a socialist government, because of the election and so on. But there is nothing that indicates that we will have less taxes with a socialist government. So when they are so clearly taxing property, it really worries me because, now I'm sitting right now in a cabin, and we bought this cabin to make it more valuable than it was. So this room I'm sitting in here, well, it looks nice with the unpainted walls and so on, but we have painted the rest of the cabin, and there's a lot more work to be done here. But we are putting some time and effort into this first of all, to make it nice, and you know, uh, because that's important in itself, I think, but also to raise the value. Um, what do you think happens when the taxes are raised so much that it's not profitable anymore to fix up a cabin like this or an old house? What do you think happens? Well, have you been to Soviet era Eastern Europe? I have. The houses just rot. That's what happens because there is no incentive anywhere. Nobody bothers because why should they? So, Golden Hawk 583, thank you for the donation. Um, and you're writing here, experiments have been done on this. People who don't care. People who own care for what they own. Look at renters versus owners. Exactly. And let me also say, as a comment to that, that as a landlord myself, it is funny to read about how landlords are greedy and they should not be allowed to do what they do and all this. Um, I owned a apartment in Oslo, the capital of Norway, a few years ago. I actually inherited that apartment um, because of the taxes on. Yeah, well, it's a bit complicated, but because of the taxes, I had to sell it. And a company bought it after, in the second round after that, I think a company bought it. And they rebuilt and expanded and things like that. So that it would only be possible for very, very rich people to buy that apartment. There's something to think about there. So why would they want, they being politicians and the powers that be, why would they want to raise taxes on property and ownership so that it will simply be too expensive for you to own anything like a house, a flat, a car? Is it because of the environment? Is it because of the environment? Is that why they are raising taxes on petrol and diesel? No, no, it's not. It insults my intelligence when they say that, because if that was true, you would have to look at the effect. Are people driving less than they would have if the petrol was cheaper? No, there are no indications of that. So basically, it's just another tax. Um, Now, again, this important question needs an answer. Why are they now making ownership so expensive because with their taxes? Why is that? Why won't they let ordinary people own, a house, a cabin up in the mountains maybe, and a car? Isn't that nice? Shouldn't people be allowed to do that? It is within reach financially if let's say you're a couple and you've been working, maybe both the man and the woman works, and maybe you're 40 in your 40s and you've been working for 20 years. You should have been able to save up some money to buy a cabin. you know. And it's nice to have a cabin up in the mountains. So why shouldn't people be allowed to do that? Do you have any suggestions? I have an idea. Because I have experienced this. Taxes made me sell that flat in Oslo, and it ended up on the hands of a big company. So, and that company will not be paying taxes like a private person like me. I had to, you know. So it really isn't such a big mystery. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Isn't that the saying from the World Economic Forum? Uh, this is something. It's something that they're doing so that property will end up on the hands of big companies. It's very simple. Salagi Bushcraft, been a member for 4 months now. Also, yes, thank you for reminding me there. You're writing here that control assets means control of the population. When you control people's property, you control them. Yeah. Let's expand this a little bit. So now we understand that essentially we can be forced to sell our houses and cars in the future because they will just raise the taxes so much that it will be too expensive. And at the end of the day, you look at the bills and you have another tax, even more taxes coming, and you just, it wears you out in the end. So you sell, and then you don't own it anymore. Then you don't own anything anymore. But it's not going to stop there. It's not going to stop there. Because I think the model that we're going to have to fight is this model where you rent. And people do not understand the importance of this. But let's say you don't buy your laptop computer, you rent it. Let's say it becomes very difficult to buy a laptop computer in the future, and you have to rent it. Well, guess what? Now your means of communication. Well, this could maybe go for mobile phones, smartphones. Nobody should have a smartphone, in my opinion, but they could essentially say that, oh, is there wrong thing here? You wrote this and that on social media. No laptop computer for you and no smartphone for you. So, yeah, it is, what I wanted to say is that I get frustrated and a little bit angry when I see people writing, typically in the comments on the chat, that, well, ownership is an illusion. Do you pay taxes on your property, then you don't own it, and all that rubbish? It's important to understand what ownership is. It is important to understand the value of ownership and property, wealth. It is important to understand that anyone can build up wealth for themselves and for their children. So that, I think in North America, it's quite common that you save up money so that your kids can go to college. Now, I'm hearing that college isn't so great anymore over there, but I don't know. I'm over here in Norway. And this is important to understand. Okay, property means freedom. If you do not have any property, if you don't own anything, you don't have freedom. It goes against what some people say. Freedom comes when you don't own anything. Yeah, really? How are you going to get around? Are you going to walk? I like walking, but I wouldn't want to walk to Russia. I wouldn't want to walk to the USA. Kind of difficult, you know. So, um, okay, let's take a look at the chat here. Justin, well, thanks for the donation. Good to see her first live stream you have caught. Okay, wonderful. Jean Louis, thank you for the donation. Um, well, yes, power can be seductive. Absolutely. And it's not pretty to watch when people, they get a little bit of power and they really like that. It is sometimes very ugly to behold. Um, it's not far-fetched to say that ownership must be understood in order for you to own yourself. Um, that has to do with this topic we're not supposed to talk about anymore. The coercion and things that have been going on for a while. Packer Hiccups, thank you for the donation. Self-ownership. I have a video on my main channel about that, actually. Self-ownership. That's extremely important. So okay. It's I don't know what's going on in the chat now. I think some people are having a discussion among themselves, which is fine. So, well, yeah, good morning. Yes, it is now morning in North America, I believe. Tapanjit from India. Wow, I think that's the first on the live stream at least. Well, thank you for the donation. Cheers from India. I have been to India actually many years ago now. Do you see any realistic scenario where that won't happen? This future we all fear is coming. I was interviewed last night about this actually, and I think we will have two groups. I think we will have two groups. I think we will have the people who will just go along with whatever, as long as they are fed and entertained through the TV and smartphones and all that. They will go along with almost anything. But a minority, a significant minority, will not. And I believe that most people here in this live stream now are part of that minority, and we must not stay silent. We must speak up about this. And we must keep talking. maybe this platform is not so great for this anymore because they will just remove channels for doing that. But speak with your colleagues and friends. Don't be afraid of saying, be kind, but also be direct. Tsalagi Bushcraft, well, thank you for the donation, and that's a great channel, Tsalagi Bushcraft. So go and subscribe there if you're interested in that. Okay. Yeah, Australia. I still haven't found a good answer to why things are so bad in Australia. It caught me off guard, to be honest with you. I've heard lots of theories, but I'm far away, so I don't know. But I think maybe some of you guys in Australia have an idea of why. Yeah, well, if you want to help the channel, you can give this live stream a like. So, yeah, well, we have lots of people here. Now let's take a look. Sweden, Kallis from Kallis, are you from Sweden? Australia and I think Florida, Texas, maybe. Canada. Canada is bad as well. Yeah, it's like when you listen to this guy and also the guy in the USA, the old guy there, it's like I wonder, are people so stupid that they have to speak like that to people? Are people really that stupid? Or is it just that these politicians here they really look down on people? Is it like that? I don't know. I really don't know. It's maybe it's both. But it's I feel like, when I hear these people speaking, it's like, stop lying, stop speaking to me like I'm an idiot, and stop speaking. Just don't say anything. That would be the best. Thank you for the donation there. Who your favorite content creators? Uh, that's right off the top of my head. I watch a lot of outdoors channels. Yeah, one channel I've started. It goes a little bit up and down, but one channel I've what's he called? Messner. Messner is a Brit. He does camping videos. He just Messner. Paul, is it? He just quit his job to do YouTube full time, which I think is very brave. So that's a shout out to his channel if I could only remember his name. Okay. Okay. Paul. Yeah, Paul. That's his name. Paul Messner. Paul Messner. Yes. I don't know him or anything like that, but yeah. Also, I watch Wheelchair Man a lot. Not recently because he's been doing motorcycle videos, and I'm not into motorcycles. Well, I want to have a motorcycle, but I don't have one, so I yeah. Well, so primitive survival, is that the guys building like a swimming pool out in the jungle and so on? If so, I don't, because I think it's silly. Wow, Dmitry, good morning to you. Do you think war on God is part of our overlord's agenda? Not really. Not really. I think it's just good old-fashioned greed and their need for control and power. And Golden Hawk 583, thank you for the donation. Bloodlines, yeah, that's interesting. You can look at that, and see how it goes. You can somehow sometimes follow the same lineage up through history. So what do you think about that's a transgender athletes? I don't think so much about it, to be honest with you. But I have seen some examples of very ugly examples of women being beaten up, and it's. I guess I should be careful about what I say here on YouTube about that as well, but it's. Yeah, and there was this weightlifter in the Olympics. I'm not a fan. Can I just say that? Let's leave it there. I'm not a fan. You know. Okay. So, yeah, well, it's like I have a son and I have a daughter, and they both they are very active, very sporty. Isn't that the word? They both lift weights, and it's like if my daughter were to compete in powerlifting, for instance, sometime in the future, I wouldn't want her to compete with someone with a genetical or obvious advantage. It's like, as I would not like if there was someone cheating, using illegal substances to enhance their physiology and so on, which is illegal. It is illegal, and that's why you test the people who compete in, at least in my federation. So it's it should be obvious. Yeah, well, all sports are rigged to the extreme. Well, not my sport. Not my sport. Drug-free powerlifting is there isn't any money in it, so that maybe that's why. But I've competed so many times. I have many trophies from competitions, and that has been and probably will be, because I'm getting back into that big part of my life. And And I think would be very naive to say that I have never competed against someone who had taken, what's it called, steroids, because I think absolutely that I have been competing against those people, and they were cheating because it's against the rules. So it's very simple. It's against the rules. So, but again, it's I wouldn't say it's rigged. It's very difficult to rig it because you have to lift the weight. You have to lift the weight, and unless you're cheating by doing steroids and so on, it's the one who lifts the most that will win. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's rigged, in such a way, at least. So yeah, when I mentioned that, kind of provoke some trolls always, but that's how it is. Carlis is asking, lifting versus cardio, which is king? Well, I think it's wise to do both. I should maybe do more cardio, but I do walk a lot. I walk with the dogs. I walk with my backpack. I walk all the time, so I'm not unfit. But doing cardio without lifting weights is better than nothing. But it makes you much healthier if you do lift weights, because we all need that. um, so okay. Uh, there are things I can't talk about. I hope you understand. I can tell you one thing, which you will find interesting. YouTube has a YouTube channel. They do. YouTube's YouTube channel. They had a video there, a new video a couple of days ago, I think, something like that. And in that video, I haven't seen it, but I've heard that they are bragging about many things. They are among those things, they are bragging about how they have managed to suppress independent creators in the news. If we look at news and political issues as a type of content, um, they are bragging about how they've suppressed the views on non-authoritative sources. That's anyone who is not CNN, Fox News, and so on. And they're saying that our views on non-authoritative sources are under 1% of the total views in that category now. Great job, YouTube. So there's that, and yeah. Did you know that? 666 Jet says, I really do love the Ministry of Truth. Now, if you look at a channel like CNN, the quality of their content is not high, and they've been caught lying and even manufacturing news. So yeah, it is what it is. This platform, I'm here, and on, it's like it is what it is, and One thing we should all do, by the way, CCP is mentioned here. We should all no, hang on. Isn't Taiwan? You have Taiwan and you have West Taiwan. There is no China. There is only West Taiwan now, and that's how we should start referring to China. It's West Taiwan. I'm going to start doing that, and I'm sure that it will be very popular among in the algorithm and all that, because what I've discovered is that when I mention China, the algorithm just kills my content, and Taiwan is probably not better, to mention Taiwan. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Unless you have some questions. So, yeah. Okay. I think I'm going to end this live stream here, and thank you for the donations. Thank you for joining the chat and being civilized. You guys are always civilized, but we do get some trolls, and they are always fun. I didn't see them today. That's how it is. Okay. Have a nice day, and we'll talk soon.